Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2014 Honda Accord. Up front is a 2.4 liter inline 4, and down below is a CVT. Now I am super excited to be driving this here Honda Accord for a couple of reasons, but mainly the fact that I've done a 2014 Honda Accord before. However, that car had the V6, that car had the 6-speed automatic, and that car was tuned. So this is pretty much as opposite of an Accord as you can get while still being in the same manufacturer year. This is the 4-cylinder CVT, non-tuned. So I'm excited to share those differences with you today. But before we get on to anything else, I have a website, zackpradel.com, where you can buy stickers and other merchandise when it becomes available. You could also submit your own vehicle to be reviewed by me through a quick and easy submission form, and you get a video of your car just like this one. And you could read my behind the scenes blog to see what I'm filming before it comes out on the channel. But let's get back to that 2.4 liter under the hood. Well, it's a K24 engine that Honda has used for a very long time. They've used it in their CR-Vs, the Civics at one point, the Accords, of course. And I really like the engine. They're pretty reliable. This did have a throttle body issue. This particular car that I'm driving at least had to have the throttle body replaced. It's an electronic throttle body. But other than that, the owner said that it's been very reliable, and that's great to hear. Now, like I said, paired to it is a CVT, which means continuously variable transmission. And the reason I want to make note of it is because this is actually the first generation of the Honda Accord to get a CVT. Now, if you got the V6, you got a more traditional 6-speed automatic, but the 4 cylinders now got a CVT starting in the 2013 model year. And it's so important because now Honda is almost exclusively CVT, minus their minivan and heavier duty applications. They live and die by the CVT. And so this is kind of the genesis of that. This is a very early one. Not to mention, in this 9th generation Honda Accord, they offered 3 different CVTs over the model run. The first 2 years, 2013 and 2014 this year, got the first CVT, 2015 got its own CVT, and then after 2015 was a different CVT. So if you have to get the transmission serviced, they are different parts numbers, even though it's the same generation of car. Actually driving it, the driving feel of the CVT is fine. It feels a little wonky when you put your foot into it and go. It holds you at a certain RPM in sort of a weird way, but that's how CVTs still are to this day, so it doesn't really bother me. As a car enthusiast, do I notice it? Of course, but driving around town, is it a big deal? Not at all. Last but not least about the drivetrain, of course, the Honda Accord is front-wheel drive. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 3 main gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer. In the center is my speedometer, as well as a digital screen giving me my MPGs, what gear I'm in, outside temperature, all those goodies like that. And then off to the right, I have my coolant temperature and fuel. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my pages icon for the center infotainment screen we'll talk about in a second, as well as my skip track, volume and source, and phone options. And off to the right, I just have my cruise control. This is just standard cruise control. However, if you went up to the top trim, you would get radar cruise control. The overall look and feel of the steering wheel is pretty decent, still feels decently modern. However, it is a hard plastic that's made to look like leather. Not a big fan of that look, but this is a lower spec of the Accord, so it's to be expected. Off to the left, I have a climate control vent, my traction control and econ button. And moving on to the door, I have my power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, I do get an infotainment screen. This is displaying a bunch of different things I can cycle through here. I really like the look of this. I think personally, this screen has aged really well. You know, this car is 9 years old this year, and I think it still looks pretty decent. If I saw this in a modern Honda Accord, I'm not totally sure I would think twice about it, and that's really good design by Honda. We'll talk more about the design of this car in a second, but there are 2 things that I really love about this screen. First of all, it does have a blind spot camera, so when you turn your turn signal on the right side of the vehicle, it actually turns on a camera to show you what's over there. You can also manually turn on that camera with the button at the end of the turn signal stalk, or the owner showed me this, which I've never seen in a Honda utilized before. If you hold down the number 1, number 6, power and select, and then menu, it will actually keep your rear camera on. This is actually for towing. Not sure who's towing with a Honda Accord with a CVT and a 4-cylinder, but you can keep this rear camera on at all times, which is really, really cool and a fun little Easter egg that I had no idea. So thank you, Robert, for showing me that. That's pretty cool. Down below that screen, we do have a bunch of different options here. Of course, we do get a CD player as well as our selector dials. Of course, favorite buttons, aux, phone, settings, all this stuff feels really good, has a nice tactile feedback, and I'm pretty happy with it. Then down below that, we have our climate controls. I do get dual zone climate. Even though this is a lower trim level, I get dual zone, which is really, really nice. Fan speed, front and rear defrost, anything I'd pretty much want to see. Then I do get an openable cubby as well as just an always open cubby with a 12-volt outlet, USB, and just some storage options. And then we have the shifter itself. The shifter is pretty simple, very, very common Honda shifter. And of course, like I said, that's paired to a CVT. Then we do have cup holders down below. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2014 Honda Accord. And I am very happy to report that it does in fact pass the big friggin' bottle test. This era of Honda made their cup holders really big for some reason. And so that remains true here for the 2014. And I'll be honest, you love to see it. Then I do get a center console, and we'll talk about the seats. The seats are finished in cloth, which is kind of interesting because the door cards are leather, but the seats are cloth. You would think it would be the other way around. However, they are comfortable. They are power, which is very, very nice. And overall, it's a very pleasurable seating experience. But speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2014 Honda Accord, and I have plenty of space back here. This is my driving position, which I actually moved back a little bit further than I normally would, and my knees are not hitting the seat in front of me. My head is not hitting the ceiling. I absolutely love it. The back seat space in the Honda Accords, it's just unmatched for anything else at this price level or in this segment. I mean, it really, really feels luxurious back here, and I love that. Now, the cloth still carries on back here. I do get 2 climate control vents, of course, obviously power windows, and I do get a center console, 2 fold-down cup holders there. Other than that, it's a pretty Spartan and basic back seat, but the space is really, really noteworthy and what makes the back seat so special. So with that being said, let's hop around the very back. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so on the back of the 2014 Accord, I do have a button here on the key fob, pops it up like that. And there you go. Very, very nice and wide open trunk. Very happy to see that. Tons and tons of space in there. That's what I really love about the Accord, is that not only is it comfortable up front, it remains comfortable for the back seats, and the trunk space is very, very nice and livable. Gotta love that. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is hands down one of my favorite parts of this generation of Honda Accord. I think it looks very, very good. I think it's proportioned very, very well. It's not overly gaudy. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's not overstyled, and yet it's not bland and super boring either. I think personally, to this day, I know the 2023 just came out, I still think that this is the best looking Honda Accord that Honda has ever put out. At least in the modern era, post 1990s. The CB7 was a pretty good looking Accord in my opinion, and I haven't driven anything older than that. But I just want to say, I really, really love the look of this 2014 Accord. But with all that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a 2014 Honda Accord with the 4-cylinder and CVT? Well, I have to say that I really, really like this driving experience, and overall, I just really, really enjoy this car. Let's talk about the mechanics here for a second. The 2.4 liter is going to be a pretty reliable engine. Honda used it in almost everything that they are putting out at the time. It's a non-turbo, so it seems pretty sound. The CVT, I could take or leave. It's not bothering me, but I just also don't really enjoy CVTs just at all from any brand. But I guess I can't knock this car too hard for it. It's still working 9 years later. The features are somewhat sparse for the trim level, but they're still very good. I love that blind spot camera. I think that's a really big game changer. And for some reason, Honda has stopped doing this. But I personally think that every car made from here on out should have this feature. It just makes things easier and safer. I like the interior cabin feel. Everything in here has held up pretty well. Besides, the owner said that one of the vents has broken because they're flimsy plastic, but that's gonna happen over time. I like the interior layout. You know, I don't think it's minimalist by any means, but I also don't think it's overly cluttered. It's not triggering an emotional response from me, and when I'm driving a car, it's usually a good thing. I want to focus on the driving, not losing my lunch over a couple buttons. And like I said, I think it's proportioned and looks very, very good. I like it. I like it a lot. I can't say enough good things about this car. Really, truly, the only downside for me is that CVT, but you can't win everything in this world. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Robert for letting me take out his 2014 Honda Accord. This thing is really, really cool. I was very excited to get behind the wheel of it since it's been a while since I've driven a 9th gen Accord, and I'm happy to report that it's still so good. But that was all thank you to Robert. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.